Hey guys, welcome back. Terry from Smooth's Workshop here. Yes, you're back with me. Here's the squeaky seat. This is part 10, I think. Yeah, it must be about part 10 of my Revell Star Wars Level 3 Star Wars X-Wing Fighter in 1/1/2 scale. Where we left off in the last video, I had mashed off the canopy paint and painted it. I also painted by brush the little bit of detail in the back there. And I had done the first coat on these wings. Now, because obviously the paint, the custom mix that I'd made, I'd done 50-50 for going through the airbrush for doing all these wee panels and everything on the wings. It was a bit thin and required a second coat. But what I did is I let it sit in the tray for a bit to let some of the X20 evaporate. And went over with the second coat with a slightly thicker paint. So what I'm basically doing here is I've taken, that's the paint in here. That was X20A, okay. This is clean X20A in here, right? So that's that. And I'm just going to turn this around it this way. So what I'm going to do in the one next to it is I'm going to put a little touch of water, like so. So there's water in there. So I'm just going to give this a wee sluice about in the water. Doesn't seem to be any colour coming out of it. I'm now going to take my Master's brush cleaner, which has got a lovely lemon, sort of lemon meringue pie this stuff reminds me of. So go wet my brush and I'm just going to rummage this about in the brush cleaner. And what this does is it takes any paint out of the ferrule, conditions your brush and everything. I'm just giving it a wee, that's the one, a wee mosh about in there. Just to give it a wee bit of an extra clean. And then I'll wash that off in the water. Give it another wee, like so. There. And then I'll draw it to tip. So I've got a nice fine tip on it for when I want to use it the next time. Now sorry if this camera's strobing a wee bit, sometimes the lighting gets to it. Now what I'll do is I'll put my end cap on. The strobing's coming back again, I can see it in the camera. Apologies for that, it's just the way the light works sometimes and I've got to bring my hands into shot to stop it. Let's try bringing it in a bit, there we go. Right, so that was how I clean my brush. I've put it in the plastic holder. I'm going to store it this way up to dry. That way any rubbish doesn't come back into the paint ferrule. So yeah, that was just covering a wee bit of clean up of the brush. But this Master's brush cleaner is brilliant. It works with oils and acrylics and watercolours. Obviously, if you're using cellulose-based paints, use your cellulose-based thinner to clean your brush, get all the paint off, and then condition your brush with that. So that was basically that. So I'm just going to try and get all of this out my paint pot. I might run it under the tap in the kitchen, just to get the worst of it off. I usually use my wee alloy pot. This is one of the ones that was in my care package from Mr. Mike Mountain. Yeah, I think I'll run that under the sink. That's not quite got it. So back in 2 seconds and we'll unmask this and see how we got on. See you in a bit. Right, welcome back. Okay, so let's just unmask these wings here and see how we get on. Now the sun's, oh, chair's creaking. The sun's quite bright here, so hopefully I don't get too, if I come too close I'm getting strobing, so I'm going to have to keep it away from the camera a little bit. So I'm just trying to get this off. So there's one wee bit. There's another wee bit. Yeah, so the sun's come out, so once I've got this unmasked, I'm going to nip out my motorbike for a bit. Please don't strobe. Naughty, naughty thing. Stop strobing. There we go. Now I thought it was quite light at first, but it's actually come out not too bad. Come up to daddy. So yeah, apologies for any strobing. But just putting that wee bit of masking tape on the wing there has saved me any hassles when I've had any shaky hands when I've been brush painting. If I can get all this off, and hopefully I can get a grip of it to get it off without scratching the model. So what we have there now is the engine parts that are supposed to be grey, which are the same grey as that grey, and just a nice bit of contrast. They will be getting weathered up and stuff, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So there's one more bit of painting to do after this. And this turned out okay, yay! One more bit of painting to do after this bit, which is the engine on the underside. Right, can I get all these bits off? Oh, I knew I should have muted my PC. It's getting to the time that it'll soon be the time for the Friday night evening hangouts that I host with the Smooth Crew. And there's crows and ravens in the background. So yeah, this is coming up really, really well. I'm really quite chuffed with this. Can I get hold of this bit? Let's try a wee cockatiel stick, and I'll do it for the bit that you're not going to see in it, the inside of the wing. And just grab hold of that. I'm not going to show me unmasking both of them. I'll do the one. But yeah, that one again, that's come up lovely. So you can see there now all the different type bits of masking where we masked off for the greyish green, which is quite green, but it's a nice contrast. And then we masked off for the inset there, and then masked that off just to brush paint it. There's a small black mark on the wing there, but I'm not worried about that. That'll be battle damaged later. So yeah, masking has went really, really well. The only bit I still have to do is the engine. Now it tells me to paint that all in gunmetal, and the tail bit's all in gunmetal. I may dry brush using a dry brush just tips at the end in gunmetal, and my plan is to dry brush and pick up a wee bit of detail on there, but I'm not going to fully cover it in gunmetal, just kind of dry brush and pick it up. So when we come back, I'll have unmasked the other wing, and should be all hunky-dory. There we go, that's it like that. So yeah, that's turned out really, really well. So really happy with that. I'll go off camera, unmask that one, and then we'll run through doing the dry brushing on the engines. So see you in a bit. Hi guys, welcome back. Well, everything's nice and dry now, and I've managed to unmask both the wings, and I have to say they're looking good. I'm just peeling up this masking tape off my cutting mat, and I went for a nice enjoyable little blast on my motorcycle. I felt the need for speed, and yeah, it fairly clears the mind. So anyway, getting back on topic. So let me just steady my camera up. Hopefully I shouldn't get any strobing now because the sun's away and I've had my fun on the bike. Okay, so both wings have come out fantastically. With the detail on the engine, the little grey stripes on the engines there. So the only bit of painting I've got left to do is I'm going to do some dry brushing, just on the tips of the engine outlets and the engines themselves. And this also came up lovely as well. Oh, I've got hiccups now. Apologies for that. So I'm going to go to my aluminium paint pot. It's a little bit easier to clean. Now, I'm going to be doing dry brushing here. So the paint that I'm going to be using is Tamiya X10 gunmetal. When you're dry brushing, you want your paint as thick as possible, so there's no thinning required on this. I'm just going to get myself a bit of kitchen roll, which I will require. Sorry if you hear my chair creaking away there. So a wee bit kitchen roll here. For my dry brushing. Now, I do have a few how-tos on my my YouTube channel, like oil pin washes and dry brushing and stuff like that. Now, I've put them as how-tos. This ruffles some people's feathers as it's obviously me showing you how to do something, but it's not the definitive how to do something. It's how I do it. But I'm being pernickety going how I do, you know, it's a how-to. But obviously it's me doing it, so it's how I do it. So yeah, take from that what you want. But this is how I do it. And this isn't going to be a how-to on dry brushing. But yeah, I do actually have a how-to section. And it shows you how to do things. But obviously it shows you how to do things the way I do them. So I'm not saying that the way I do it is the correct way. So what I'm going to do anyway is paint prep. Moving on. So I've got some X10A in here, which is a metallic. I don't know if you can pick up the marbling in there. I might need to pick my lights up a little bit. My light over a little touch. So this is X10, which is a metallic colour, flat. Well, X is the glosses, XF's the flat. So it's a metallic colour. I'm not going to need an awful lot of this, but making sure I mix it up. I don't have one of these fancy electric whizzy stirrers, so I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a few drops of this, and I really don't need a lot, probably 3 or 4 drops into my palette. Okay, and I'm just going to, as you can probably see on there, I don't know if it's coming up on the camera, it's really quite a nice metallic gunmetal. Now what I find with it, talking about Tamiya paints earlier on, X10 gives a nice dark metallic gunmetal colour, but if you airbrush it and thin it down, it comes out lighter. Always works better when you're brushing it. So I've got some X10 in there. Now this is more for brush cleanup. I'm going to put some X20A thinner, standard Tamiya thinner in there. That's more for cleaning up my brush. Now, the brush I'm going to be using is a small dry brush. Now, these are by AAA brushes. This is a sable hair one. I also have a medium dry brush, a slightly bigger tip. Okay, and I have a large dry brush. Okay, it's a tiny model, so I'm going to be doing this with my small dry brush. Now the trick to dry brushing is, now Citadel do a range, while I'm on about dry brushing, Citadel do a range of paints. I'm just looking to see if I've got any of my dry brushing colours. Right, I haven't actually opened this one. Oh, I've got an LED attached to it. Get off of their LED. Right, now I'm on about really thick paints. You want the paint thick because you're going to take most of it away. Right, this is a Citadel colour. I'm not going to be using this, but it's called Dry Necron Compound. I haven't opened it yet. That's open now. It's almost solid. You can turn this stuff upside down and it doesn't pour out. Right, that's specifically designed for dry brushing, but what I'm going to be doing is dry brushing with a standard Tamiya paint. So the basics for dry brushing, and this is how I do it, not a how-to, but might as well cover it because we're doing, I'm aiming this at beginners as well as experienced modelers. So a dry brush, this particular one that I've got has, yeah, my lighting's not particularly good, let's come in a bit, has a sable hair, but it's quite a really fine short bristled brush, so it's quite stiff. Okay, and it's designed for just flicking across the surface with minimal paint on. And what we're going to be dry brushing is just the tips of these engine outlets and to pick up some of the detail on here. So what I'm going to basically do is, now I'm just going to fold this up so I don't stick my hand in it, because I'm good at sticking my hand in this. I'll draw the camera back out a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and hopefully my lighting's okay. Right, that's my lights adjusted. In fact, I'll turn this inside out because I just know that I'm going to lean the palm of my hand on this and end up getting covered in paint. Now, I'm not going to use a glove on this instance. Okay, so I've got my dry brush, I've got my X10 in there. I'm just going to make sure my brush is clean, so I'm just going to put that in the X10A and go like that, and there's no colour coming off, so I know that any previous colours are not going to affect it. Now, I'm going to load my brush up with paint, but now I'm going to do something really weird. I'm just going to take almost all of it off. Okay, and then I'm going to take, and hopefully this comes up, I've never had to do this live, I'm just going to flick my brush gently across the bits I want to highlight. Okay, and that's called dry brushing, so I'm just flicking the tip. I've actually noticed I've got a wee hair sticking out of this, which is annoying. I'll just get a bit more paint on it, take it off of there, rub it off. Right, see if this will come, hopefully it'll be in focus. I'm just dry brushing, flicking it across. And what that'll do when you're flicking it across, it's just picking up any raised edges. And it's making it look a bit dirty and mucky and stuff like that. But that's what I'm wanting. I'm just wanting it to pick up the raised detail. I don't want to do this the whole, they say to do it, paint it all in this colour. I think when they made these, the engine would have been put in, obviously it's made of metal and stuff like that, but it's not going to be all one colour, because then they'll go and spray over the whole craft when it's all assembled with the white. That's my story behind it. Okay, now I do take photos of these because sometimes this doesn't show up very well on video. So if you go to my Facebook page and Smooth's Workshop, you will see some photos of the build. I try to snap photos as I'm doing it. Right, so they wanted you to do this whole engine in the colour, and what I've done there, and hopefully it's coming out on camera, can you see all these pipes and that showing up now? I actually need to put a little bit more paint on and just possibly bring a couple of those up a bit more. There's lots of little pipes and stuff, so I'm trying to dry brush in this area, give it a bit of a metallic sheen and pick up the detail. So the reason I call it dry brushing, as I explained in my tutorial, is that there is almost no paint on the brush, so it's almost dry. So rather than it being fully coloured there, what you can see is it's, hopefully you can see that, it's bringing up all the little raised bits. Now I'll get that in a pin wash anyway, but I don't think I need to. If I take that at a distance, you can see a faint discoloration in it, like it's an engine. Now I'm just trying to get, it's a bit white here, I need to try and get that a little bit darker, just up there. A wee bit of working with the dry brush, and that should pick that up. So it's highlighting the engine in a metallic colour and picking up all these little pipes and stuff, so I'm just twisting it in the light, but it's not fully colouring it. So I'm going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to dip back into my paint, load my brush up, and I'm going to take just about all of the paint off. Okay? And I'm going to start dry brushing. And so I'm just flicking the brush across all the detail. And any raised bits, it should pick up all the edges. I'm just trying to get a little bit more in that bit that looked a bit white. So I'm just dry brushing up and down gently with almost no paint whatsoever on the brush. And apart from that little bit there, that I'll try and get a little bit on the end. So that's suggesting to me that that is metallic, but the weathering will pop it out a little bit as well. The whole engine isn't painted that colour. It's just like a metallic sort of sheen, like that's the engine. And hopefully that's picking up. And the same on that one. Now, as regards the ends, it tells you to paint the whole thing. Right, I'm thinking, now bearing in mind I've got two LEDs in here, I'm just going to load my brush up again and take almost all the paint off. I'm thinking if I flick the ends, to give it, obviously the exhaust port's going to be a little bit more metallic because they're made of metal, yeah. And with the heat and everything, it's probably going to burn the paint off, is my thinking. Now, I'm not going to do the whole of it. I'm going to do the bit right at the end. So I'm just picking a little bit of paint back. I'm not even going back at my palette. I'm just picking it up off of what's on the mat, on the towel. And all these ridgy bits, I'm just going to concentrate on the ends a little bit and just flick my dry brush across, so it doesn't give full coverage, but it gives that sort of, the end of this engine's a bit burnt kind of thing. That's my aim. Whether it ends up looking like that is a different story. So I'm going to keep flicking about on the end of there. I've not masked it off. I could have done, but dry brushing's pretty accurate anyway. Very little paint on it. So I'm just flicking the end. Hopefully this is in focus. Flicking the end of the engine outlet to give it that sort of metally sheen. Again, I'm not going to go into my palette. I'm going to take whatever paint's on there because I really want the brush quite dry. Right, bit more paint. I've run that one out. Take the rest off on the brush and just keep, I'm not pushing it right into it. I'm touching it and I'm flicking until you feel it touching and no more, and brushing across the top. If you press too deep, what you're actually doing is painting. Yeah, but that's coming in a bit deeper, and I'm just building the dry brushing up slowly on the ends. And you're going to get patches where there's more and patches where there's slightly less. Again, this is going to get weathered, but you can maybe see that's picking up a little bit of the end, but still keeping a bit of the white. So I'll do the same on this one. Unfortunately, there's a sprue gate on there that was very hard to get rid of, but I'm just going to concentrate on the ends. Need a bit more paint, so I'll dip it in. So when you're dry brushing, you don't want to be thinning your paint. You want it neat. And just take just about until there's almost nothing coming off the paper and just gently flick. You might just see that building up colour there. Gently flick across the part, and it's highlighting. It's another way of highlighting the part. So it gives the idea that this is a metal part that's been sprayed white, but due to the heat processes coming out the engine, that there's a little bit of metallic in there. And when I put the oil pin wash on this is going to sink into the depths anyway, so it might totally change it altogether. I missed a little bit there. Right, so the ends are kind of metallic. I don't mind that. But I've just dry brushed those, and I've dry brushed the engine on both of them. So I'm going to do the same on this one. And believe it or not, after this is done, oh, I've just painted my lead. That is the actual painting, apart from chipping, finished. There will be no more painting of this model, and then we move on to the next bit. So let me just, I'm concentrating here, so I'm just flicking this across, picking up the detail. Hopefully you can see it sort of coming up as I flick the brush across it. So if you've got a line going that way, you want to flick this way, and if you've got lines going that way, you want to flick across it. If you've got lines going this way, you want to flick across it. So you want to go at 90 degrees to the line you want to highlight, and just gently flick the brush across the top of it. Just suggesting that this is a metal engine, but I'm not wanting to fully coat it. So that'll do for me. That's got some suggestions there that there are metallic engines in there. Again, into my paint. I'm going to take almost all of it off. Just give me a second while I hold my paper. Almost all of it off. My engine there, right? So I've got a lot of things that I've got lines going this way. So I'm going to go across them very lightly. So I'm just touching and no more. And what that's doing is just leaving a slight touch on the edge. And then for any detail going this way, I'm just going to flick that way. And it's just a mere suggestion of this is metallic. I'm not going to do any more than that on that engine. So it's mostly white. I don't know how clearly that's picking up, but I will take pictures. Again, the engine's at the end, I'm going to try brush across because that will not go into my LEDs. So it's going to be quite a heavy gunmetal on the end. Yeah. But on the actual finned parts, right, let's start with this one. Right, so the fin, these little ridges are running this way. So I want to be flicking across it at 90 degrees. So I'm concentrating on the ends, but I'm just flicking. Yeah. Apologies if this isn't shot on camera, but I'm trying to show you what I'm doing at the same time as trying to get as much of this on camera as possible. So this isn't a, well, it is a how-to. This is how you do it, but this is how I do it. So yeah, I don't know what the confusion is. I mean, it's, if you watch a how-to, it's obviously how the person that makes the video does it and not the be-all and end-all. So I've highlighted that, so if you can maybe see the one that I've done against the one that I haven't, and it's just brought up the ridges. And as again, that's, as I was saying, that's all made of metal. But they spray these things. If you can just imagine a production line, we've got a load of X-wings coming off the line. There's all these metal bits, and then spray them all white. But heat makes the paint come off the bits. And the bits that's most likely to come off is bits that's going to be touched by the technicians themselves, or bits that's going to come off with the heat. And that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm just putting a light brush on there. Right, this particular angle gets a bit of shadow on it, so there's not much I can do about that for the camera. A wee bit there. A wee bit of... I think you'll agree that's a lot more subtle than Revell tell you to take the gunmetal or the black or whatever colour that they're telling you to paint it, and basically coat the whole of this in that colour. And all I'm doing is giving it an essence of that colour by dry brushing across the end. And I'm just having a wee look at this, and yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the engines underneath look as if they're metal. It's picked up all the pipes and whatever on both of them, and it's picked up the ends and highlighted them a bit. They're a bit shiny at the moment, but that'll all get dulled down with weathering. But it's kind of like, you notice how I've done, and this one's actually quite good for showing it, how towards the rear of it I've went heavier, and towards the front it's went lighter, so it's like the heat at the back has burnt the paint off that's been put on. that's the painting. Apart from my chipping, which will be after decals, that is the painting done. So I'm just looking to see how long this video has been running. It's been running for a little while now. So yeah, I'll just clean this brush up and I'll do the same as I did with my other one. I'll do that off camera. But basically I'm going in with my X28 and I'm trying to take all the colour out the brush. Yeah, until it kind of comes out clear. Metallics are a bit of a pain because you always get one or two wee pigments hanging in there. Yeah. So that's X28, that's now contaminated with the metallics. So then, again, I'll put another wee drop in there. Let's turn this back this way on itself. So I'll go into totally clean stuff and I can still see wee bits of the silver metallic off the gunmetal coming off. That's turning the X28 a bit cloudy. And just pull the brush till I think it's almost clean, which it is. So that's paint. That's X20 that I've done for the majority of the cleaning. That's another wee clean bit. A wee touch of water in here, like so. And my brush cleaner and preserver. So I shall go into the water, have a wee rummage about in the water. Because these are water-based acrylics, although Tamiya are alcohol-based, they still clean up in water. Yeah. So I'm going to give this a good munge about again in my brush cleaner. I absolutely love the smell that comes off of this. Now, if you haven't been looking after your brushes, you'll notice a lot of the soap changing colour. I'm actually getting some of it on this. I haven't treated this one with the brush cleaner before. I'm getting a little bit of the metallic pigment coming out of the X20A. So I'm going to rub the worst of this off, give it a wash in water. And again. The thing is, I'm not going to be bringing this to a point because it's a dry brush. Right? But it stops all the paint going up into this bit, this metal bit, which is called the ferrule. And when it goes into the ferrule, all the paint dries and it forces the brush bits apart. So that's all been nicely treated. Somewhere in here I have the plastic thing for it, which is here. So I'll put that back on my brush carefully. It's a bit of a tight fit, this one. Because I'm trying to do it on camera. The other thing, excuse me, I've got hiccups, you can rub it in the soap. If you had a brush that you're worried about getting a point on, and pull it to a point. Now that's a dry brush, I've almost got that to a point. Leave it like that. As long as you clean it before you next use it, that'll help pull your bristles back into shape. That's with any brush. So that's my dry brush. It's all cleaned up. I'm going to end this here, guys, I think, because this is quite a long section, so we're on to a good half-hour's video. So you've got to get two kind of back-to-back. When you next come back, I'm going to have clear-coated this. You don't need to see me clear-coating. I'm going to be going over the full model with Alclad 2 Aqua Gloss, which is ALC 600 for 120ml. This will put a protective barrier over it, ready for me doing the decals, and the decals will sit down better. So the next video that you will see is me applying decals to this, and then it's weathering stages. So we're really getting there. That's all the painting done apart from a tiny little bit of chipping. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm trying to show you some of the processes. I've aimed this video series so far at beginners, although I've included LEDs into it to spark people's interest to show you what you can do. But it is a basic kit. If I hadn't put the LEDs in this would have been finished long ago. So yeah, I'm just running through some of the steps: the painting, the masking, dry brushing. Next one will be clear coat, applying decals. So this will be aimed at the beginners. So I'll show you what solutions I use, how I apply them, and I'll put another clear coat over just where the decals are, and then we're into weathering, and I will be showing you how to do an oil pin wash to pick up all the little detail on the wings and everything. Again, there is a how-to on my channel about that, but it's not a definitive how-to, it's how I do it. Anyway, Terry from Smooth's Workshop, any comments as normal, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Really got my mojo back up. I've got to get this finished by the end of the month because I've got it in the ISM Summer Sci-Fi Sig. There's also another Sci-Fi Sig running over ISM, which is International Scale Modeler. It's more based on whether this is a fictional craft, where this is a fictional craft. They have a summer sig running for non-fictional crafts, so that's like space shuttles, satellites, moonlanders. Pop along to ISM and get involved in the group build. So I've got to do this by the end of this month, so I'm pushing on it. As always, enjoy your hobby, happy modelling, and until number 11, when we'll be doing decals, see you later. Bye.